Well, hello, everybody. Good late evening. We're 2 minutes away from me saying good morning, I suppose. But I am Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, beat reporter covering the Lynx and the Timberwolves. And the Lynx went out there and did it. No Nafisa Collier, no problem, really. Seemed to click just fine against the sixth best team in the league, Seattle, winning 91-87. Well, some people are joining in here. I'm going to throw us over to a quick ad read. And then when we get back, we'll break down the game, kind of what happened in the post-game presser. Sorry, it's a little delayed getting on here, but there's just a lot of good quotes. And I wanted to clip some of that stuff up in the grainy, weird, lighted Zoom film grain thing that was going on with the post-game interviews, but we'll chat about that as well. And then, as always, we'll finish up with some fan questions. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back. So let's see here. 91-87, Lynx beat the Seattle Storm. And really just looking at the game as a whole, I mean, the first quarter, the Lynx looked solid. DiJonai got minutes in that first quarter and looked really good. Had a couple trips to the free throw line, steal, couple assists. She looked solid. I mean, from a team standpoint, I'll be honest, Courtney and Lan were struggling in that first quarter quite a bit, but the Lynx were able to kind of just trudge through it and eventually get out of that first quarter with a 1-point lead. The second quarter, maybe we don't need to talk about as much. It seemed like really it was just that last 2.5 minutes where Seattle just went on a run, including that before halftime buzzer beater. But that was really outside of the very end of the fourth quarter, the only time Seattle's offense seemed to really click. Seattle went into halftime with that 8-point lead, and then the Lynx just chipped away at it, knocked that lead down to 1 going into the fourth. And then probably the story of the game, at least I think, is DiJonai Carrington in her Lynx debut closes for the Lynx. Finished with 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, just 1 turnover, 5 of 7 from the field, 2 from 5 from free throws, which is not like DiJonai. I mean, she's a mid-70s free throw percentage shooter, so anomaly, we'll chalk that one up to. But she was awesome. After the game, she got the honor of doing the press conference with Courtney. And like I say, I put the videos up on my X in very grainy film detail. It looks like a circa 2004 YouTube video. But anyways, we were able to ask her just about, how she's settling in, how it felt to get out there on the court tonight. And the general takeaway I got was DiJonai is very happy to be here. She mentioned that it was an easier transition because she has people that she's played with here, Yvonne, T, Courtney. She's also run into quite a few of the Lynx players, either playing overseas or just, playing in the NBA or WNBA for 5 years. She mentioned that a couple times she has no complaints. She's right where she wants to be. Mentioned in another answer that it feels good to be playing on a team with winners, a team that is going for something. And she, I got the chance to ask her just, what it was like being out there on the court with them. And she gave a really kind of thoughtful answer of just like what it's like to play on defense with them, where all 5 of them are on a string, where if you get blown by, the help is behind you and you just immediately start to rotate. And DiJonai had kind of commented that that's how she loves to play. Like, she loves going off of instinct. She loves just knowing where to fly around to the next player, to the next place that the ball might move. And I think we saw that with DiJonai tonight, where even if it wasn't her picking off a pass, just the activity level of the Lynx defense seemed to be ratcheted up to another level when she was in there. Courtney made the joke, what's it like playing with DiJonai again? And Courtney, the first thing she said is like, it's really nice to be able to tell someone, hey, you're going to go guard the one, meaning the point guard, and they can just do it at an elite level. I mean, all WNBA first team guard DiJonai Carrington is coming off the bench for the best defense in the league. It just is kind of an embarrassment of riches. Cheryl also talked about DiJonai and was pretty glowing about her, saying that they just really wanted her to just go out there and hoop. I mean, just play off of feels, do what your instincts tell you to, move the ball, cut. And DiJonai kind of said how much she loves the offensive system, where it is, fast paced, move without the ball. If you get the ball, make sure it's moving right away again. And it just seems like it's a match kind of made in heaven already. On the emergency pod, Mitch was here with me, and we both were kind of talking about how DiJonai is just kind of like the perfect Cheryl Reeve crafted in a lab type of player, just someone that is going to be intense at all times, defensively and offensively. She's going to play with tempo. She's going to move the ball. She's going to give up individual stats for the team. And she did all of that tonight. I mean, I was not expecting this type of debut. I thought maybe we would see her for 7-8 minutes, kind of in the diamond role until she's able to get a few more practices. Cause it is hard to play in Cheryl Reeve's offense. Granted, DiJonai isn't playing point guard, so it's a little bit easier than like a Courtney or a T jumping in, but it's still hard. Like, it is a very Golden State Warriors-esque beautiful game. Make the right pass, San Antonio Spurs, pass up a good shot for a great shot type of offense. And when you're not used to playing in a system where people are moving at all times and where you're expected to pass the ball after a few seconds, sometimes that can be really hard. Wasn't for DiJonai. She was awesome tonight. I mean, literally outside of one weird defensive rotation in her first stint and like 2 bad passes in her second stint, I think she played perfectly. We can come back around to DiJonai if people have questions or want to talk about it more at the end of the pod, but I just saw Ryan here in the chat says Nay is so good. Completely agree. And I think just after one game, I think it's fair to up our expectations of what she can be for this team, because if she is able to be that defensive stopper when BC and KMAC aren't on the floor, that's one thing. But if she's able to play with them and they're able to go to a small ball lineup with KMAC, DiJonai, and BC, I mean, those are 3 all defensive caliber players. Then you factor in at some point Fee is coming back. Then you factor in at some point, Lan is going to not get a billion fouls called on her. And it's just, again, it's an embarrassment of riches of what this could mean for the Lynx. Moving on to other players, Courtney Williams ends up leading the team in scoring with 20 points. She had a very Courtney Williams game, which Lynx fans know what that means. 8 for 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. She had 5 turnovers. Some of those turnovers were pretty tough, but when they needed a 3 to hit the heel of the rim and roll in, Courtney is there. When they needed those mid-range shots in the fourth quarter, she was making them. It is just wild how confident Courtney Williams is, because I think lesser players would have psyched themselves out with her type of shooting performance. But I mean, arguably, as Bob says here in the comments, they couldn't have won without DiJonai. They probably couldn't have won without Courtney either. I mean, her shot making at the very end was superb. K-Mac had a weird game shooting. I think she shot 2 air balls, if I'm remembering correctly, which again is just K-Mac doesn't airball shots. So it's always jarring when she does because she just doesn't do that. But a couple of them, to her credit, a couple of her shots were like end of the shot clock. Gotta just get something up. Courtney, I think, also had 1 or 2 of those too that were just kind of heaves at the end of shot clocks. Um, I think that the honestly, the next person we have to talk about is BC, Bridget Carlton, 4 of 6 from 3, 12 points, no fouls, and she was just steady the entire game, which I think when she hit those 2 threes in the third quarter and Seattle had to kind of tweak their defense a little bit of like, oh shoot, we need to guard BC if she's going to hit shots. It just opens so much up, and especially when Fee isn't going to be playing for the next couple weeks, having a Bridget Carlton making shots is going to be really helpful for this team in the meantime. Because I referenced on X that the second quarter was tough, and it was. I mean, when they don't have just someone to dump a ball into and just go to work, they really struggle. And when Courtney isn't able to get those mid-rangers in off of the pick and roll, they struggle. When K-Mac isn't hitting those hide behind a screen threes, it gets ugly quick. But BC comes in, hits those 2 threes in the third quarter, paint opens back up again, there's driving lanes again, and it just really opened everything up. KJ1, yes, I saw your message before the stream. I wanted to clip DiJonai stuff up because it was her first real press conference in front of media. So sorry we're a little late today, but I agree with you. It's really nice to see BC hitting some clutch threes. I think BC, even when she doesn't make shots, she is still like a really important piece for her defense. But if she's able to shoot 40-45% from 3 again, like she did last season, it opens up so much for this team. And this is kind of the time, right? There's going to be shots available. There's going to be possessions available without Fee. This is the time for BC to start taking 10 shots a game and get her jump shot falling again. Unfortunately, we do have to, the next person on the starting lineup, Alana Smith, struggled 2 of 10 from the floor, 1 of 5 from the free throw line. She's shooting sub 50% on the season on free throws. And she's such an interesting player because the Lynx defense relies so heavily on her ability to switch and guard kind of bigger players, but also be fast enough to get back in the way, that when her offense isn't working, she's still a net positive. I'm not going to sit here and say Lan is not helping the team, even when her offense is slow. But I mean, 1 of 5 from 3, 2 of 10 from the field. Excuse me, she was 1 of 4 from the free throw line, not 1 of 5. And it's just tough. And I think tonight was kind of the example of the benefit of having Jessica Shepard, where Lan is struggling like this. Lan is in that foul trouble for most of the game. And Shep just comes in and is solid. 13 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists. Awesome, like incredible efficiency. She went 3 of 4 from the free throw line. And it's such a luxury to be able to have a starting center on the bench behind like your all defensive team starting center. And there's such contrasting players where Shepard is a significantly better rebounder than Lan, I would say, and a better like playmaker, offensive like force than Lan. But Lan objectively is so much better on defense that they kind of have this yin and yang where if you sub Lan out for Shepard, then you can start to sprint up and down the court like DiJonai was talking about with, the pushing the pace where Shepard can make those ridiculous outlet passes. She can even take the ball and dribble it up herself. And it opens up just more options, which I think that's what this time without Fee is going to be for the most part, is just What do the Lynx have as options? I think we saw off the bench, Carrington is going to be a big, a big impactful player on this team. Um, Masha also had a really good game, 8 points, 5 rebounds. Yes, she was -6, but I thought her minutes were pretty solid. And T is going to be able to play a lot more just pure point guard and maybe not share the floor with Courtney as much. I think without Fee, we're just going to be able to kind of either prove these things in our minds of, okay, this is Jessica Shepard given minutes is going to be a offensive force. All right, Lan without Fee, maybe she takes a half a step back defensively. BC without Fee, maybe she can get her shot falling with more attempts, because as a shooter, I think it's really underappreciated how hard it is to get back into a rhythm when you're not shooting a ton. And I know this is a WNBA podcast, so bear with me, but I also cover the Wolves. And I remember talking to Joe Ingles about this earlier on in the Wolves season, of when he was playing 5 minutes per game and, was just kind of the spot eighth and a half guy on the roster. And he is telling us that it's just difficult, right? Like, if you're a young player in that role playing 5 or 6 minutes a night and you get 2 3-point attempts, it's really hard to make those because you're only getting 2. If you miss both of them, you're a terrible 3-point shooter and you might lose your minutes. If you make both of them, your role might expand. If you hit one of them, it stays the same. And that's how it is every single night. And I think BC, when this team is at full strength, is kind of put into that same conundrum where she's only going to get 4 to 6 shot attempts a night over 30 minutes. And if she hits 4 of those 6 shot attempts, we're talking about her like we are tonight, where it's like, oh man, BC opens everything up for this team. But if she doesn't and she hits 2 of the 6, then we're talking about her like we were 3 weeks ago, where it's, is there something wrong with her shot? Is she just not as good of a 3-point shooter as we think? And all of those narratives start to creep in. And I know players often say, I don't pay attention to the media. And I'll be honest, I don't think they pay a ton of attention to the media. I think people around them might, but these people are hyper competitive. And if you're a world-class 3-point shooter and you are going 2 for 6 every night, eventually you're going to get frustrated. So all of that is to say, without Fee, my hope is that, the BC of the team, DiJonai, they just get more runway to just get into a rhythm, because once you get into that rhythm, it's hard to get knocked out of it, because when you're feeling it and everything looks like it's going in, that doesn't just like go away because you miss 2 in a game. It's a lot harder to lose it than it is to get it. So I really hope, Cheryl has been kind of harping on it the last week or two, that they want BC to shoot 10 times a game. I kind of hope she's shooting more like 10 or 12, and maybe Courtney's shooting closer to 10 or 12 too, instead of 20. And we just get to see what a BC can be if given that offensive role. I'm going to throw us over to one more ad read. And if anyone has any questions in the chat, more than happy to go over them. If not, we will wrap this on this lovely Wednesday morning now. 12:15. Yeah, it's morning. Let's consider it morning. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. So let's see here. Looking forward onto the schedule. Mystics are next at home Friday. Lynx are going to have, 2 days off. They'll probably have a practice on Thursday, shoot around Friday. So Carrington should be hopefully a little bit more I don't want to say a little bit more prepared because she looked pretty darn prepared just playing off of instincts tonight, but a little bit more integrated. Maybe they have some more play calls and stuff like that set up on offense. And the Mystics, I mean, who knows who's even going to be on their team by the time Friday rolls around here. It seems like they might be trying to sell everything off and get picks for the future before the deadline hits on Thursday. Now, after that is the Lynx, 3 games in a row against the Liberty, which is gonna be tough if there's no fee for any of those games. I think those might be if the Lynx can steal one of those 3, they'd probably be feeling pretty good, but the Liberty are also in a weird situation where they're dropping games to Dallas and getting blown out in other games. Liberty are a weird team right now. But that being said, this is also why I think it's kind of the perfect time to give fee time off. You look at it today being the 6th now, Wednesday the 6th. They play 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, in the next 2 weeks, they play 4 games. I mean, it kind of makes sense to just maybe punt on a few of these games, make sure fees right. If K-Mac's thumb is really an issue, make sure she's right. If T's ankles need a day off, maybe make sure they're right. It might really be a good opportunity for the Lynx to just, you hate to see it in the regular season when, you know, like Indiana on the 24th, which I'd kind of assume Fee might be back by then, but let's say she's not. If you're a fan coming to watch the Fever and Lynx and there's only one game and Fee's out with an ankle injury, like that sucks. And I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. But for the Lynx championship hopes, I think being able to give these players a few days off is just quite frankly kind of nice. And for Fee to be able to rehab that shoulder, her back, her knee, her ankle, it's going to be I think it's going to be okay. MB says in the chat here, Lan was great on defense despite everything else on the offensive side. I mean, that's Lan. It's so hard to take her off of the court because on defense, she is just, I mean, she's darn near perfect at all times. Despite the tough whistle she gets. But on offense, if she's not making shots, now they have Jessica Shepard who can step in and make shots and plays and rebound. So it's just this, again, the depth of this Lynx team is just so different from last season, even when you're talking about a Maisha Hines Allen coming in for depth, which I think we all loved but Jessica Shepard, I would wager and I would say is a significant upgrade over I would also say even like a Dorka. I don't know if Dorka would even get minutes on this team with kind of the depth they have in the post. Bob here says Mystics in full tank mode. Completely agree. I mean, I would not be surprised if they just sell everybody off before Thursday and Friday's game. We're having players without names on their jersey. And Bob also says probably no Stewie still. I've been hearing that too, that she might be out for like all of August, which if I'm going to go on a soapbox and complain about the WNBA, I think that would be my complaint is that we just don't get good injury updates. Like the Fee ankle injury, there's no grade associated with it. There's nothing other than just kind of ankle sprain, see you in 2 weeks, which any other sport, baseball, hockey, you know, the WNBA is kind of outdrawing some baseball and hockey teams right now. And then you got football and basketball or NBA men's basketball where they give updates like 3 times a day. It's just a weird system. Ryan says, do you think Nay will get re-signed after this year? I really think the Lynx are hoping so. I think this trade is like, let's get her in for this season and see if we can sell her on the Lynx, which if you're DiJonai, I mean, you played in Connecticut which doesn't really have great facilities, and they don't have like sellout crowds in the regular season, and they have really good fans, diehard fans. I know Connecticut fans. But it's just not the same as like 8,000 people at a Lynx game. And then she goes to Dallas, where they also don't have facilities and they're not looking to win this season. I think walking into Mayo Clinic Square for her might be kind of ridiculous when she shows up for practice on Thursday, because the Lynx do have like a world class facility. Then you put in that, like, I think Cheryl is the type of coach that DiJonai is really going to get along with. They both don't really beat around the bush. They're both pretty direct. They both are really passionate. DiJonai kind of naturally fits into like Cheryl's, for the greater good type of team building. I really think they made that trade hoping that they can convince her to stay. And it's a lot harder to keep everybody. Let's just be honest. If Court, T, Bridget, K-Mac, Lan, Jess, Fee, and DiJonai are all free agents at the end of the season, I think I'd rather take DiJonai over some of those names I listed. Shelby of the Star Tribune, thanks for stopping by. Also, with scheduling, that would mean she would miss all regular season matchups versus the Lynx. Yes. So we may be having 3 games in a row with the Liberty where Stewie and Fee aren't playing. And this is why I think everybody on the Lynx have been super frustrated that this is how the schedule came out. Because if you space these games out a little bit, you wouldn't risk having no Stewie for all 4 of them and no Fee for the last 3 of them. MB will be super interesting to see who all stays next season. Completely agree. Taylor, are you concerned about the free throw shooting percentage? It might hurt in the playoffs. I am terrified of the free throw percentage. Lan shooting under 50% after being a 70% free throw shooter her entire career is so bizarre. I don't know if it's like the yips. I don't know if it's like if she's dealing with like a hand injury we don't know about. Again, WNBA isn't great with disclosing that stuff. I have no clue what's going on with Lan, other than last year she was a really good free throw shooter. This year she's not. Jess has also struggled at times from the free throw line. I think if you're looking for a positive in the free throw percentage, Fee has been remarkable this year. And the last 3 games, I know she's missed free throws, but she's also had that weird shoulder injury that, again, I'm complaining about injury reports, so that's inside baseball, but we don't know what that shoulder injury is. So if it's like a messed up like back muscle that they're trying to like cobble together with a shoulder brace, I mean, maybe that's why she's missing them. But I think to get back on track, if you're a Lynx fan, I think the hope is in any close game, you have Kayla McBride, who is going to hit 94% of her free throws, and you have Fee, who, when healthy, is an 80+% free throw shooter. BC is also a solid free throw shooter. And there, again, the players that aren't making them this year are historically good free throw shooters. So it's just weird. But the free throw shooting does concern me. I'm not going to lie about it. Like, that is, if there is a weird kind of chink in the armor for the Lynx, I think Lan shooting 40% from free throw could really impact them in the playoffs. I mean, if teams start hacking her to get her on the line in the 4th quarter and she's missing shots, and then they put in Jess and the defense falls off, that could be a way to kind of combat a Lynx team, which only time will tell. I think the other thing is Lan is the type of player that maybe she hits 5 out of 6 over the next 2 games, and then it's just not a problem anymore, and she's back to being an 80% free throw shooter. It's just such a weird thing. Ryan, last question here. I'm giving it to you before I fall asleep on a podcast mic. Finals prediction. I think it'll be Lynx and Liberty again, and I really think the Lynx are going to win it. I think it'll go 7. I think it'll be a game 7 at the Target Center, and I think the Lynx are going to win it. I think Fee is playing at such a different level this year, and even though the Liberty didn't have Stewie, didn't have Emma, yeah, at the last game, they were throwing everything at Fee, and they could not slow her down. And if Fee has gotten to a point offensively where she just can't be stopped, I don't know what the Liberty's counter to it is, because obviously DiJonai was brought in here because the Liberty have Tosh Cloud and Sabrina. So they needed more kind of wing help, and they valued that more than getting post help. So I think that finals is going to be pretty much the same narrative, where Jones and the Liberty are able to kind of score at will on the inside, and the Lynx are going to be able to kind of spread out and score, with their ball movement and just kind of, I mean, let's just be honest. It'll be their ball movement. They'd have a 75% assist percentage. Their ball movement's one of their superpowers. But if they also have that extra gear where, it's, hey, we need a basket, we're down 2 with 3 minutes left, and Fee cannot be stopped. And I think she's at that level now. I really do. I've watched too many minutes and hours of Lynx games where Fee is just able to do whatever she wants. And honestly, the only reason she's not scoring 30 something points a game is because Fee is probably the most humble superstar ever and doesn't value scoring that many points. With that, though, I do want to thank the 393 people who have swung by the live stream here. 12:30 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. You guys are just awesome. It's for Lynx fans. That's why the whole hitting the hardwood thing is kind of doing this partnership, because you all deserve it. If anyone popped in here at the last second and does want to re-listen to this, it lives on forever on YouTube and over on X. It will be turned into a podcast tomorrow, releasing at 7 a.m. on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. And until next time, go Lynx, everyone.